When I was done with my competitive bodybuilding career, I was ready to move on to start rounding out other areas of my life, business, relationships, because those things took a back seat. When I was competing, that was my life, that was my identity, that was my career. And I willingly sacrificed. I know the discipline and dedication it took to compete for so many years, to become a 6-time national champion, drug-free bodybuilder, a writer, internet, websites, books, DVDs. I was all in. I left it all on the floor. When I was done, I really didn't know what to do next. But that really didn't concern me because I had some ideas and I believed what we are told in the bodybuilding and fitness world, that with the amount of dedication and discipline, the work ethic, what we can do with our physical bodies, other people can't do. And so we have the skills to do anything we want in life, to be successful in any area we choose to focus on. And we use Arnold Schwarzenegger and a few others to use that as an example of what is possible for everything that we developed rep by rep, set by set, workout by workout, meal after meal, contest after contest, year after year. We can use it to be successful at any area of life. We just have to focus and use the same skill set. And so I was prepared to do that, although I wasn't really specific about what that was going to be. Like I said, I had a general idea. I have to tell you something. That transition was much more difficult than I ever imagined it would be. I wasn't able to just pick up and move to another area with the same amount of passion, dedication. It wasn't just a switch I could just flip on like I thought. I had a friend of mine, his name is Carrie, and he was a motivational speaker in Australia. And Carrie and I, we worked loosely together when we were staffing, volunteering at Tony Robbins events, because I was really immersed in personal development even long before I started bodybuilding. And so I would really incorporate the personal development into my thinking for, like I said, many years and all throughout my bodybuilding and training career. And Carrie knew I was lost. I was looking for direction. And so he invited me to one of his seminars that he had in Sydney, Australia, and to just spend a week with him. And I really appreciated his generosity. And there was a certain event that really changed the direction of my life and really led me to where I am today. And that was we were going to a grocery store in Australia. This particular grocery store was in the back of a mini mall. In the front of the mall, it had a news stand and many shops. And when I traveled to Australia, I heard that in an Australian muscle magazine, they had a feature of mine in there. I did a lot of writing of articles, training, nutrition, mindset. And so I was eager to see it. And so Carrie went ahead into the grocery store ahead of me, and I looked for the magazine. I saw it. I was really excited, and something that I'll talk about even more as I tell you more about my journey and how it can help you, is that that excitement for all that work, for the photo shoots, the writing of the article, that lasted for about 2 seconds. And that happened many times throughout my career. A big 14-page spread. I would anticipate. I knew I worked so hard. I was so fortunate that I had that opportunity. I'd open it up, and it would last about 2 seconds. And I would have to go for the high of building another achievement, going on that journey. And so I went to meet Carrie in the grocery store. And he said, "Hey, well, where's the magazine? Were you in it?" And I said, "Yeah, I was." And he goes, "Well, where is it? I want to see it." Now, I had walked into this small grocery store in the back of a mini mall, and they had one of those metal turnstiles where you can go in, but you can't come out. And that's for security reasons. They want shoplifters taking groceries and things out of the store and then using that as an exit, right? And so I turned around and I saw the turnstile because I had just walked in to go get the magazine. But it it let you in, but it didn't let you out. And I just kind of stopped. All right, I can't jump over this because of security reasons. They build those turnstiles that way for a reason. So I looked over to my right, and there was just one checkout for this grocery store, and that's the only way out. And so I kind of take one step that way. And in the check stand, there was this big, fat woman with a lot of groceries, all right? She was going to be there for a while. And the little path to get out behind her, she was that big. And so I said, oh, wow, I can't squeeze behind her, and I don't want to make her feel bad for, being so fat. So I looked back at the turnstile, and then I looked back at the check stand. I looked at the turnstile. I looked back, at the checkout, and I kind of just stood there. And Carrie said to me, he said, hey, what are you doing? I thought you were going to go get the magazine. And I kind of went, blah, 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 blah. And I kind of explained in a sheepish way, well, I can't go out through the end turnstile, and I don't want to make that woman feel bad for being fat, and she's going to be there for a while. And Carrie just did me such a favor, gave me such a gift, and he goes, wow, you have a lot of rules. And he said to me, he goes, how do you know she would feel bad about being fat because you're slipping behind her? Why don't you think she might say, hey, wow, this hunky guy is kind of rub up against me? I'll tell you something, I've thought about that trip to that Australian grocery store many, many times. I've thought about my rules, and it's taken me on an amazing journey and helped me crack the code on why someone who was so focused and disciplined, who earned 6 drug-free national bodybuilding championships, and I've written hundreds of magazine articles. I produced DVDs and audio courses that were sold in 63 countries. Why was it so challenging for me to break out of that and just pick up and be successful in all areas of life, business and relationships that I didn't put a lot of focus on when I was that competitive bodybuilder? Really made me think about my rules. I've got to tell you something. I thought I was different. I thought I was different than most bodybuilders out there, right? For a couple of reasons. I did not start bodybuilding and training as a teenager at 16 years old because I was picked on or fat and overweight, or a lot of the stories that you hear in the bodybuilding world. I started when I was 27. And not only did I start when I was 27, I was an adult. I owned a home. I worked my way up the ladder at the grocery store that I work with. And I worked there from 19 years old, right? I got promotion after promotion. I was a full-fledged adult before I started bodybuilding and training at 27. And I didn't believe it was for all the reasons, because of I had low self-esteem, and I was building this shield to protect myself. All those things that sometimes we think we're different than the rest of the other people who are dedicated to bodybuilding training. I thought I was different. I got the endorsements of major companies like Metrics, TwinLab, AST Sports Science as an amateur bodybuilder. I didn't even play up the fact that I won an IFBB professional pro card with one of my overall victories at the Team Universe. I didn't put it in my social media profile, IFBB Pro, Skip LaCour. Again, I felt I was different than what the typical stereotypical bodybuilder is. But I'll tell you, my journey really taught me a lot of things about myself, and then through my one-on-one coaching with men and women who are just like me, dedicated and disciplined bodybuilders and fitness competitors who know they have so much talent and ability and just can't crack the code to transfer that success, that ability to other areas of life. And it really puzzled me. And that trip to Australia and that lesson that I learned in that grocery store were my rules. And over the last 14 years since I stopped competing, I really understood that there are a lot of things we, as dedicated, focused, competitive bodybuilders and fitness competitors, that make us amazing, outstanding, better than most. We're able to focus and dedicate ourselves and do things, these superhuman powers, as I call them, that other people can't do. Regular people just can't do them. And I don't care how successful they are with their business, how much money they make. I don't care if they've got the greatest relationships or they're successful in business, have a lot of money and successful relationships. They can't do what we do. We've developed these superhuman powers. We have developed a set of rules that make us amazing, outstanding at what we do. And what I found out over time is those very same rules that we just take for granted. We just assume they're going to make us successful in other areas of life. That's what we're promised, right? As competitive bodybuilders, that if we can do this, we can do anything. But those same rules are the exact ways of thinking and how we take action that are getting in the way of us creating the lifestyle we really want. And I looked around and I realized that a lot of very highly successful, dedicated, disciplined, competitive bodybuilders and fitness competitors are struggling in other areas of life, whether they've retired from competition or they're still doing it and it's part of their life. I was no different. I've realized over this time working with so many people through my coaching that we may think we're different, but we have a lot of similarities. You know, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, is this guy going to discredit everything he accomplished as a competitive bodybuilder, all his successes? Does he want to throw those away and throw rocks at the whole bodybuilding and training lifestyle, being a competitive bodybuilder, now that he's moved on? No, not at all. And I'll tell you this, if you are a competitive bodybuilder and that's serving you, you're getting everything you want in life, you're totally enjoying the journey, I know what that's like, I want you to continue what you're doing. I mean, I'm 14 years retired. I still train with weights 5 days a week. I do cardio 7 days a week. You know, I'm not so much into getting big and huge, but I stay in great shape because health is very important to me at this stage of life. I am not in any way telling you to give up your passion for bodybuilding and training or stop competing because it's going to ruin the rest of your life. So don't get that impression if you're thinking that at all. What I am saying is there is a different way of thinking, that you can have it all. You can take that competitive spirit, you can embrace the competitor inside of you, use the superhuman powers that you've earned over time, rep after rep, set after set, workout after workout, contest after contest, month after month, year after year. You've ingrained them into your nervous system, but it's going to take a slightly different way of thinking. You're 90% of the way there. So if you're suffering in other areas of life, I want to take you along with me and my wife, Carrie, on a journey that's taken me 14 years to understand. And it's just not my personal development journey that's stacked on my 33 years in personal development, working with some of the masters. It's also the experiences of the men and women who I've had the pleasure to coach and learn from their experiences too, to help them crack the code, to help them set their entire life up like a contest to win big there too. There is no reason why you can't use those superhuman powers that you've developed as a competitive bodybuilder, being dedicated to your physical body, to be a top 5%er, as I like to say, to the rest of your life, to be successful and happy there and to move on when it's time, a little bit easier time than I had. I want to share these distinctions and strategies, this different way of thinking. Like I said, you are 90% or more there. It just takes a slightly different way of thinking. And that's my mission. It's to share those strategies with you.